Graham Satchell, BBC News.
Time now is just coming up to 7:30. Our thanks, of course, to the family for giving us access to those wonderful pictures and their progress in dealing with their grief.
It's time for the sport. Mike is here at 7:30. We're talking about tennis. Is Andy Murray on court in about half an hour or so, isn't he? Is that right? Am I making that up?
Yeah. He's due on court the first in the evening session at least. But I mean, it's quite a significant moment in his career when you think 4 years ago, up against the same opponent in the first round of the Australian Open, he went out. And you know, at work, if they suddenly start showing your best bits, your highlights, your show reel,
it's time
from
to go.
Your time there, it's time to go. And many people thought, I think even Murray himself probably thought that was the last time he was going to be playing in Melbourne. And here we are, 4 years later. He's had a hip operation, got his new metal hip, which has already served him well in over 10 hours on court in Melbourne this time. He's now got this chance to reach the fourth round for the first time at Grand Slam in 6 years. And the way he's been fighting back, you can't rule him out ever, can you?
Well, we're roaring for him. You can't help but roar for him.
It's incredible at the age of 35. So we want to get into his mind. What makes him so mentally tough? We can do that with a bit of help, you know.
OK.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah. So it is just a day after he went to bed, after his longest ever night. Andy Murray is back in action shortly at the Australian Open as he takes on, once again, Roberto Bautista Agut for a place in the fourth round, just like he did 4 years ago. Such a quick turnaround then for the 35-year-old after he was involved in that epic 5-set victory over home favourite, the Nasi Kokinakis, which took 5 hours, 45 minutes and didn't finish until 4 a.m. Melbourne time yesterday morning. So how does he prepare for such a big game with so little rest? Well, now I'm joined by someone who knows, performance psychologist Roberto Forzoni, who has worked previously with Murray, of course. Good morning, Roberto. First of all, then, what is the secret, do you think, with Murray? You know him well, you work with him. I mean, with his metal hip at 35, being able to summon that mental strength to never say die, never give up.
I don't think there's any secret there. He's worked a lot on his psychological strength and his physical ability as well to get around that court. So both of those combined give him a good mental resilience, along with his maturity as well.
Yeah, what did you work on him specifically on when you were spending time with him?
Well, he had problems dealing with his emotional temperature. He'd get angry, very emotional on court. And if you get emotional, that's a self-imposed pressure that is the biggest catalyst to paralyze maximizing your talent. So unless you can control those emotions, you won't be able to maximize your talent on the court. And your biggest opponent is probably not across the net, it's in your head.
That's interesting. So what's changed the Murray thing? I mean, he's 35. There's no expectation now, no pressure. He's become a dad. Some people say that often helps. He seems to play now without that pressure on himself, without that fear almost, would you say?
Absolutely, because he no longer fears failure. As you said in the introduction, he's not succeeded in the last 4 or 5 years in any slam. He's not done well. There's no expectation there. And Andy's priorities in life have probably changed a bit. He loves tennis. That's why he goes out there and he's got that heart and that fight and that desire to do well. But he doesn't fear failure. And that's a dangerous opponent to be against.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a unique sport as well, isn't it? You're out there for so long, what was it, 5 hours, 45 minutes, on your own, with such fine margins on each point. So no wonder it's this sport in which you do feel this intense pressure.
Absolutely. You're on your own, and a lot of players can't cope with that. When the pressure really gets on in that volatile atmosphere and you are on your own, those demons come into your mind and you start thinking you're going to lose, you're not as good as you thought you were. So all these things come into your mind and they play about. And while you've got that emotional temperature and that the emotions going on, you cannot think straight. You can't think calmly under pressure. So it's like turning a switch. You either go emotional or you go into your thinking mode. Lots of decisions to be made, and you need to be calm to be able to make those decisions.
But the big question today is, can he do all that with such little sleep? I mean, I don't know what he's like in terms of, maybe you can tell us, switching off and suddenly shutting your eyes and going to sleep after that night that he had.
He was up at 9 o'clock after going to bed 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning after that match. He's getting ready. He knows what he has to do now, and his mind's going to be totally focused on this match.
Can you see him doing again today and reaching the fourth round?
I can. He's got no pressure on him. He loves what he does. He's surprised so many people. He should not have won that match 2 nights ago. 2 sets down, 5 hours against someone 9 years younger than him. Yeah. He shouldn't have won. He did it. It'd be euphoric today.
Lovely stuff. Roberto, sports psychologist, thanks very much indeed for your time this morning. Murray is now indeed the last British player left in the men's singles. This is after Dan Evans was knocked out. Not even a hint of a dramatic fight back in this one, as Evans, the British number 2, was overpowered by the 5th